We are flowing offensively, fellas. That's 5 games in a row. We're in a great rhythm offensively.
Farrell running 3 right side. He knocks it down. Farrell inside nicely to Burns for the dunk. Farrell deep 3. Got it. He's feeling it here in Boston. Another 3 on the way. Another 3 is good. Matt Farrell's in fuego, and the Irish lead by 14.
And I gotta shout out Nick Fabulous, buddy. Hey, I told you now, we are 6 and 8. We get Miami and we get the 7 and 8. We're right on that. Yes, we're in Bubbleville. And after what we've been through in January, the bubble's good.
Yeah.
Hello again, Irish fans, and welcome to this week's edition of Inside Notre Dame Basketball with Mike Brey. I'm Jack Nolan, and I guess we should start with an injury update. You have some on 3 guys.
Yes, I do. Bonzi trending up a little bit. Will not play today against Wake Forest, but maybe we can get him in there against Pittsburgh. We'll check him in practice. Rex Pfluger feeling better. Expect him to play today against Wake. Some tough news on DJ Harvey. We're going to have some surgery done next Wednesday on some cartilage. So we've lost him for the year, but we'll have him back next year.
And yet, with all these injuries, you went to Boston College this week and came up with your best conference road performance of the year.
We really did play well, Jack, and Matt Farrell flat out jump-started us. One of the great performances in a Notre Dame uniform.
Of course, you lose Pfluger in that game, so against Miami, you have a 7-man scholarship rotation, and you still almost pulled out the victory.
I love how we battled, but Jack, when we're at 7 bodies, it's going to be very difficult for us to beat ACC teams. I feel good about having 8 today against Wake.
So when we come back, we will take you to Conti Forum in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, a place the Irish have never lost in ACC play. Matt Farrell was the big story in the Boston College game, but his streak of 9 threes didn't start until Gibbs and Pfluger hit the first 2 of the game.
We really did get off to a great start offensively, and that always helps us. When we can get flowing early, I think it gives us confidence even on the defensive end of the floor, but Matty sure ignited in that first half.
Scored 26 points in the half, hit all 8 of his threes, finished with 37, 9 straight threes, 10 overall. Have you ever seen a better shooting performance?
I don't think I have, and we've had a lot of great shooters here at Notre Dame, but nothing like that. McElharney's 10 in Maui is in the same category, but he just carried us through the whole first half and made us more confident.
So you're up by 16 at halftime. Some would say, well, they may cool off in the second half. You come out and score the first 10 points. You're up 26, less than 2 minutes into the second half.
We got off to a great start again in the second half. We talked about that at halftime, but a run is coming, and BC made a little run on us.
5 minutes into the half, you lose Rex Pfluger. So Nick Jogo has to step up, and he really did.
He really did. It was a big afternoon for him. Rex goes down with that bad bruise to the hip, to his low back, and Nick has to finish the game for us, and he makes big buckets. He makes a big 3. He plays good defense. I thought a really great day for him to feel like he's part of it.
15 really good second half minutes, 9 points, an assist, a rebound, and you talked about the big 3. BC made a run, they cut it to 9, and I really thought it was that 3 that broke the Eagles back.
It really was, Jack. He rose up in the corner right across from our bench, and Nick is a good shooter. He hasn't shot it as well in games as I think he will. He's starting to get more comfortable, but that was a big one.
I should probably start to call him Mr. Consistency because Martinus Gebbin was good again with 12 big points.
He was just rock solid again for us, scoring, defending, giving us a big body back there. So pleased with the senior year that he's having.
Better job on Jerome Robinson. He still scored 29, but just like your first win over BC, you contained Chapman and Bowman. They combined for just 1 for 10 from 3, and that was huge.
We did a better job on Robinson. He didn't completely go off, but you're right, the other 2 guys we kept in check. I thought our big guys were great, showing on ball screens and really getting the ball out of the guards' hands.
So the Irish beat the Eagles 84-67, Notre Dame's 11th straight win over Boston College. When we come back, we will return to this very floor and Notre Dame's big Monday matchup against Miami. The injury to Rex Pfluger caused you to have to go with your 9th different starting lineup of the season and a 7-man scholarship rotation, which meant there were combinations on the floor for extended periods that really had never played a lot together before.
You know, it was a tough situation to absorb because a good Miami team is going to be very hard to beat without Rex. But I love how we battled. You're right, a different starting lineup, but we hung in there. I thought we found a pretty good offensive rhythm in the first half, but they were very hard to guard throughout the whole game.
Mr. Consistency, Martinez Gebben, really got you off to a great start. He scored 8 straight points early.
He really did. He getting the ball in the low post. His low post scoring option for us has helped us without Bonzi. He scores it there, and then he's so good handling the ball throughout our offense.
Gebben with a game-high tying 19 points. Now, Miami opened an 8-point lead, but you answered with a 10-0 run that included 3 straight hoops from Austin Torres.
Austin Torres came off and gave us a great lift, flying all over the place, scoring the ball. I think he's starting to get a feel for finishing a little bit better around the basket, and we can use his scoring.
How about that pass from Burns to Torres through the defender's leg?
I know. Those two guys come off right now. They are coming off the bench and giving us great energy together, Burns and Torres.
You said after the game that you got to give Miami credit. They had lost 3 straight. They played really well, and a guy who really hurt you was Lonnie Walker. He had 5 threes. His 3 at the halftime buzzer was a killer.
That was a killer, and then he had 2 big buckets when it was a 1 or 2 possession game where he really made a bad shot because he just jumped up over the defense and scored. And between that and we really couldn't keep them off the offensive board, we couldn't beat them.
In part because of Ibuka Izundu, their big guy who had a big game.
He was fabulous on the backboard. You know, it was disappointing, Jack, because that's the first game we've been beaten up on the offensive board. We've held our own rebounding-wise, but that's the first one in a long time where they beat us up inside.
But you still battled right down to the end. You had a late 16-4 run that gave you a 5-point lead with 5 minutes left.
And I think when you get to that, you know, you got to try and build a little bit, and we couldn't. They come right back with another run on us, and we couldn't recover after that.
Obviously, when you watch the tape of Farrell, you're going to guard him. They blanketed Farrell. They blanketed Gibbs. What I really liked about those two is they didn't force anything. They were very efficient, and they still managed to score 27 points. They dished out 8 assists, but they didn't get as many opportunities.
No, I think they've become very mature and, you know, letting other guys get stuff when they're taken away. Our second half, we scored 46 points in the second half. We shot 50% from the floor. Our defense wasn't good enough to win.
To have a relatively legitimate shot to get to the NCAA tournament, you told your guys they needed to win the game, and they came through. 53% shooting for the game, 61% in the second half. So it wasn't effort or even execution.
No, we went for it, and we needed that win. I mean, that's a big miss for us if we want to get to the NCAA tournament. It makes our job even harder moving forward. But, you know, I've never questioned our fight, our grit. In a lot of ways, we've been, I think, an inspiration to a lot of people. Through adversity, we continue to fight.
And all your guys have grown. Matt Farrell continues to grow. His big 3 cut their lead to 2 right around a minute left in the game. You just couldn't get any closer.
Couldn't get over the hump after that. He made a big one for us, but again, it came down to disappointed in our defense, and our defensive rebounding wasn't good enough to beat Miami.
So it was a tough loss on this floor, 77-74 to the Hurricanes of Miami. When we come back, we will take an in-depth look at one of the greatest shooting performances in the history of Notre Dame basketball. It is unlikely that anyone will ever supplant the great Austin Carr as the best shooter in Notre Dame basketball history. But in the three-point era, no one has ever had a better long-range shooting day than Matt Farrell did at Boston College. Farrell set a Notre Dame record by hitting his first 9 shots from beyond the arc and tied the Notre Dame record for most three-point shots made in a game with 10. Here is a look at all 10 of those three-point bombs.
Here comes Farrell with the basketball. Farrell running 3 right side. He knocks it down. Farrell between his legs. Farrell deep 3. Got it. He's feeling it here in Boston. Farrell over the midcourt stripe. Farrell between the circles. Farrell step back 3. Got another one. Matt Farrell's in fuego, and the Irish lead by 14, 21-7. Farrell off the hands of Torres. Here comes Farrell over the midcourt stripe. Farrell, another three on the way. Another three is good. Get out the asbestos suits. Matt Farrell is burning up the court here at Connie Forum. 24-7. Notre Dame lead. Gives top of the key. Right side, Farrell for three. Got it!
Jim Christian is telling his guys, hey, number 5, you got to get on him. Don't leave him.
Mooney out of Farrell. Farrell 24 for three. Got it! Now he's matched Mooney. 6 for 6. Mooney, Carroll, Farrell, the only players in Notre Dame history to hit their first 6 threes in a game. Wow.
Pfluger drives, finds Farrell, another. Yes! Around the rim and in. 23 from Matt Farrell.
Farrell brings it back up top. Farrell fakes another three on the way. 8 for 8 from 3. Wow!
I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. That one was a moonshot. Like, he had to throw that one to get it there. Right on line, nothing but net. Kid is feeling it.
They had 6'8" Stephon Mitchell covering him. He just shot over him. Mooney to Farrell. Farrell 4-3. Got it again! 9 for 9. Oh my goodness. Farrell for 3. Got it! He did it again. He's tied the Notre Dame record. That's his 10th three-pointer of the game. As soon as I said take time off the clock, that's what BC thought, that he takes a 25-foot three and swished it.
We talked earlier about how you've never seen a shooting performance quite like what Matt Farrell put on at BC. How did he get to the point where he can get into that kind of a rhythm?
Well, one of the reasons we recruited him, he had a great stroke. It's a beautiful stroke. It's great form. If you're a young kid, you should imitate Matt Farrell's jump shot form. What was so interesting about those shots, he got them different ways. Off the dribble, off a fade screen, off a down screen, off a kick out from a big guy. So he got them in very different ways. But, when a great shooter is feeling good, and he certainly was feeling good, you want him to keep taking them, and you want him to even force a couple every now and then.
Observers all around the college basketball world have been impressed by the way this year's Notre Dame team continues to play competitive basketball despite an unprecedented rash of injuries to key players. The Irish have done this by having every healthy player on the roster step up their games. So it is fitting that this week's Notre Dame Ticket Exchange, powered by Vivid Seats Play of the Week, involves 2 of those bench players who have played key roles in keeping the Irish competitive this season.
Trailing by 8. Burns now. Bounce pass between the legs of Wardenberg. Right to Torres, who lays it up and in. And Notre Dame leads 17-16. Wow!
Well, that's got this building fired up, and for good reason, Jack. Fun basketball to watch.
It's time now for the experts at TireRack.com. Question of the week for Coach Brey. This week's question comes from Ted Elrick of South Bend. Coach, when you get back to full strength, how can you get the best from the growth you've seen in your younger players to make the team stronger than before Bonzi was injured?
Well, some young guys are getting some great experience and playing bigger roles than we ever could have imagined back before the season started. I think it could help us down the stretch this season, is definitely going to help us next season.
Notre Dame Director of Basketball Operations Harold Swanigan helped lead the Irish to 78 victories during his 4 years as an Irish player between 1998 and 2002. Harold was known for his toughness and drive, both on and off the court. Now in his 9th season on Coach Brey's staff, Harold brings those same qualities to his duties supervising the day-to-day operations of the Irish basketball program. And yes, running this week's Inside Notre Dame Basketball Fast Break. Favorite all-time movie?
Primal Fear.
First car you ever drove?
Corsica.
Favorite musical group or artist?
Outkast.
Who was your role model?
My grandmother.
One thing the public would be surprised to learn about you.
I like classical music.
Twitter or Instagram?
Neither.
Favorite thing to do when relaxing?
Chilling. Just hanging.
Maui.
Fun.
Favorite part of practice?
Competing.
Worst part of practice?
Dead time.
Best thing you have learned from Coach Brey?
Be patient.
Phrase you hear from Coach Brey in practice most often?
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Assistant coach who is most like Coach Brey?
Martin Inglesby.
Player on this team most like you?
No one.
Best dunker on the team?
Ron Humphrey.
Worst dunker on the team?
Nick Jogo.
Best dresser on the team?
Ryan Ayers.
Worst dresser on the team?
I'll plead the fifth.
Best comedian on the team?
TJ.
Best thing about being on the basketball staff at Notre Dame?
It's not work.
You know, I'm not sure the title, Director of Basketball Operations, totally encompasses everything Harold brings to your staff.
Well, Harold is such a loyal soldier, and he's such a great role model for our players. And not a day goes by that I don't walk by his office and one of our players is sitting in there being mentored. I just love having him around. He's an upbeat, positive guy.
And he's a great sounding board for you. He sits right behind you on the charters, and I've heard it at times. You bounce just about everything.
Yeah, I turn to him and ask a lot of questions, but he always has it in perspective. He's a true Notre Dame man.
When we come back, we will take a look at Notre Dame's 4th trip to North Carolina this season and senior night. For the 4th time this season and the 3rd time in 4 weekends this month, you're back on Tobacco Road this weekend, this time to take on Wake Forest.
Maybe the 4th time's a charm, Jack. We'd love to get one. You know, a Wake Forest team that can really score and plays really well at home. I mean, our defense will be challenged, but I think for us to win, like last Saturday in Chestnut Hill, Mass, we're going to have to get into the 80s offensively.
Wednesday night, Pitt comes to town for the last home game in the regular season. It's senior night, and I know this one is really, really special.
It's very special for this particular class. So the all-time winningest class in the history of our basketball program, just a powerful accomplishment by them. But we've got some guys to honor, and hopefully we can get to win on top of it.
And we're not sure what Bonzi's status is going to be, but one thing is sure, he's going to be on the floor at the start of the game.
He will be in the starting lineup and introduced, and we'll see if he can play or not.
All right. Keys to getting out of this week with the results that you would like?
Well, you know, it'd be awesome to go 2-0, Jack. We've been in these 1-1 weeks. We're 3-3 on the back 9. I'd love to see if we could get 2 in a row.
And that will do it for this week's edition of Inside Notre Dame Basketball with Mike Brey. We'll be back next week to take a look at all the highlights of the Wake Forest and Pittsburgh games. Until then, for Coach Brey, I'm Jack Nolan. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Irish.
Inside Notre Dame Basketball is presented by TireRack.com and brought to you by Team Notre Dame partners, Coca-Cola, Under Armour, and Gatorade. Inside Notre Dame Basketball is also brought to you by Bank of America, the official bank of Notre Dame Athletics, Vivid Seats, Canon, Xfinity, Delta Airlines, proud to be the official airline of Notre Dame Athletics, Nissan, Notre Dame Federal Credit Union, and SiriusXM.